Welcome to Nourish Your Soul, where collective consciousness meets to transform reality. Expect a miracle. It really is that simple. Simply allow it, breathe into it, and it shall be. So today I am honored to bring to you a special dear friend and guest. Her name is Elle Keith. She is a friend from the Bashar group, and she is a gifted channeler, been channeling a Lily Stargazer that we know from the Bashar group and that we've heard about that Willa has mentioned in the Bashar sessions and group sessions. And she is also familiar with Bashar and personal friends with Darryl Anka, and also channels other beings that we will be touching upon. And this is one of many interviews and conversations in consciousness and first contact, bringing her forward and to the world and her gifts to share with humanity. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome you. Elle, how are you today?
I'm just fine. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing wonderful, and I'm happy to have you on today as a guest. So let's talk about your experiences with Lily Stargazer. You first started channeling her back in 2013.
Well, I first met her in 2013, and yes, and then started doing some telepathic communication with her, automatic writing and that, and then in June of 2016, I started offering sessions with her to the public, and she mostly international. In fact, it was all international. She was working with clients with their belief systems to help them change their life by looking at their beliefs.
Wonderful. Yeah, I understand that Lily connects people with their parallel life.
She did in 2016. I was talking with a friend of mine. She was having a Lily session. This is before I started going public with it, and she, unbeknownst to me, she just connected my friend with her parallel life, living in Spain in 1865. Her name is Cristal, and my friend and Cristal talked for a half hour. That was the, I think, prelude. That was the only time that it happened, and that's the prelude to now. Here we are 3 years later. And she is, Lily is getting ready to start. I'm going to be doing practice sessions and everything, and we will be offering it after that to the public to do parallel life sessions with them.
I love it. Wonderful. So exploration into knowing more parts of ourselves as we embrace more parts of ourselves. And her page is Parallel Reality Specialist that we can find on Facebook, correct?
Yes. She has her, I put up a Facebook page, like you said, Parallel Reality Specialist. At the time, right now, there's just my, how I sort of met her. The idea of her is when my husband passed December 21st, 2012, and I was at the Bashar session that night, and the Irish connection was brought up by Bashar. And then it was June of 2013 that, in fact, it was right after the Sunday, a June Bashar conference, and the next day I always react. I reacted to Willa in that session with tears running down my eyes because the love that just comes through from Willa. And the next morning I was getting ready to go out, and I felt that same love, and tears came to my eyes, and I sat down. I knew somebody was there, and I said, "Who's here?" And she said, "This is your Irish connection. Just wanted to say hello." And I said, "What is your name?" She said, "You will find out later." And that was pretty much the gist of it. And then after that, I got information that her name was Colleen. And later on in the year, had a discussion with Bashar, and he said, "No, Colleen's not her name." He said, "That's just like the fair Colleen." in the Irish. And at that time, and then Willa came on also, and that was in December of 2013, and they were trying to get from me what her name was. They weren't going to tell me, but they wanted me to be able to get it, and I just said no, it wasn't coming. And then February 14th of the next year, on Valentine's Day, I had gotten a big bunch of lilies, the Stargazer lilies, which going back now, it was when I first met my husband in '89. I used to fill the house with these Stargazer lilies. I loved the pungent smell and everything. They'd just be all over the house. And nice. Then on the 14th, on Valentine's Day, I had a big bouquet, and when I leaned down to smell them, it immediately came. Her name is Lily Stargazer. And then I realized that was the connection, the vibration, were the lilies that I was filling the house with all those years.
Wow. That's that connection, reaching through the dimensions and touching into your present moment, reality, awareness, that other lifetime. Yeah. That's so beautiful, that connection. So Lily, she's in Fort Dublin and 700 Years Upline, and on Willa's team, and good friends with Willa.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
And she owns the Stargazer Inn.
Right. Right. And I think we've learned, Bashar was sharing, she actually has the ability to be running the inn and doing other tasks simultaneously in the inn, operating the inn. Like she could be the person behind the bar, and then she could be the person taking the order at a table. It's simultaneously, right?
Yes, and the way she does that, Willa let me know just recently that she is a very rare shapeshifter. They call it a mirror room shapeshifter. And Lily has the ability to duplicate herself, other realities. She can duplicate herself. So she duplicates herself, and they're called stargazers. And they can, then she works, they work, they're the bartender, they're the waitresses and everything, so that Lily can, because Lily's the hub of this. People come to her. If you think of, if you want to picture in your mind, like the Star Wars in the bar where all the species came.
Right.
This is sort of the tavern
right.
that Lily has at the Stargazer Inn, and people come to her and talk and drink. I have gone and I visit her and have a drink. It's really a lot of fun. But she's this mirror room, and she can also these Stargazers, which is the duplicates of Lily. They can, let's say the bartender, let's say that a 8-foot being walks up to the bar. She can make herself taller to adjust to his height. Or if it was really short, 3 feet tall, she can make herself smaller.
Nice. Wow, that's incredible. So I look forward to having a practice session with Lily myself. I'll just put that in there. So whenever that happens, I'm even willing to record it for listeners if that happens. So be it.
Yeah, well, we could do that. We're just starting to, like I said, the future we'll be putting together the parallel life readings. But I just came up with your suggestion. You suggested to me a couple of weeks ago that, because you thought that when people had sessions with Lily that they went to the Stargazer Inn. And I said, no, they don't do that. I've gone to the Stargazer Inn, but they don't do that. And she said, oh, I always thought that would be sort of fun. Then I thought about it. In this last couple of weeks, and I thought, yeah, you have a good idea. That would be fun. And so I set up a Facebook page, and I set up a group page called Lily's Stargazer Inn. Now, there's nothing there right now. I just have it set up to that I'll start, inputting information and this kind of stuff. But then when I went to the Bashar 3-day event last weekend, I started talking to people about, do you think that would be fun to have maybe a 30-minute session with Lily and go to the inn? And they all said, oh, yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And then I said, and then we could start the group, and then you can share your stories if you want, and we can all talk back and forth, because everybody's going to have their own experience of what the tavern is at the inn.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Perfect. I love it. So is the Lily Stargazer Inn page, is it public yet, or is it just sort of in hyperspace, waiting for you?
You could access it, but there's nothing there right now. I'm just putting together the designing a cover photo for it, and so yeah, it's not put together yet.
Nice.
Well, so when I
really
announce
exciting.
that we'll be doing sessions, I'll be putting that in now.
I love it. Well, any way I can be of support, I'm happy to do some practice sessions and even share those with public if that's a way to be supportive and sharing what you're doing and the gifts that you're bringing forward as people connect with more aspects and parts of getting to know themselves and loving more aspects of themselves. So that's a really wonderful thing that you're doing.
Well, Lily was, I've been going to the inn because she's been go to visit her. She's been showing me around to acclimate and to be able to see. So actually what she does is I come in, she has a glass of white Zinfandel waiting for me, and we sit at the table and that, and then she'll say, look around and tell me what you see. And I will describe what I'm seeing and who is there. I've met a few of the hybrid, 2 or 3 hybrids. I've talked to them. I've seen a Sasquatch, not Argus, but up at the bar. And so I've had some really great experiences that I have. Of course, as soon as I come back, I then write it down. So I will now start putting that up, on the page too.
Nice. That'll be great to read.
So I think that's what you go there and it's like, hey, look around. What do you see? What are your experiences? Talk with her, tell her your stories, and it'll be fun.
Yeah, totally. So as a result of you bringing Lily forward, though, you also ended up, let's tell our audience a little bit, share about Dr. James Simon, the doctor that's doing the energy healing of the future.
Yes, that was quite exciting. It was and a surprise. I never know what we're going to encounter when I go for a visit. So on June 21st, actually last year, 2018, I was on one of my regular trips, and Lily said, look around and tell me what you see. And we were in our own bubble reality tavern at that time. There was nobody else there, okay?
Uh-huh.
And we're all usually sitting at a round table and that. So we were sitting there, and I said, oh, I see by the wall, not on the wall, but by the wall, I saw 9 symbols. They were probably 2 feet, 2 feet by 2 feet or something in diameter, but they were alive, dancing, energy, colorful, and they're like the fourth dimensional, fourth density symbols, so that you don't always see it the same way. She said to me, pick out one and tell me how you feel about that. Pick out one. So I picked out one, and I said, this seems like the Tesseract to me. And I know the Tesseract well because I had experience in 1997 and with Bashar and gave a Tesseract party and the whole thing. So in our third dimensional or fourth dimensional reality dimension, actually, we see it as a cube within a cube, and each little facet of it is another dimensional doorway. So when I said I feel that that's a Tesseract, and it came forward and became very large. And she said, okay, she said, you can go in now, go through the doorway, and you can meet another one of your parallel selves. And I went in. I saw this doctor, with the white coat and everything. I didn't see his face in that, but I saw the white coat, saw that he was he's just human, and I saw him. He's tall, brown hair, and he was working with a boy about 10 years old. And I could see the auric field, the energy field of the boy, and I could see where there were black spots in the field, where you can see red and all the colors and everything. And the doctor, I didn't know his name. I just knew he was a doctor and was working with the child. And then I came out, and the tesseract went back up on the wall, became small again, and went back up on the wall. And so I said to Lily, I said, I have a feeling that this doctor is from 2050. And she said, no, 2065. And I had done some writing 2 days before. I was in sciatica pain and everything, and I'd done some writing with the pain, and I had a feeling that this was a new entity. And at the end I said, who's writing? And they said, you will find out. Well, then I found out. Then after I left that session, wrote everything down, the next day I found out what his name is, Dr. James Simon, okay? And I've found out that he lives in Colorado. Actually, he has an enlightenment center in Colorado, and now, of course, the year 2066. And when a person has a session with him, you energetically go to his big, beautiful office. It's not like any other doctor's office that we're familiar with. I mean, it's large, beautiful, has gardens and waterfalls outside and lots of greenery and everything inside. And he has this white recliner that you're sitting on when he's working with you, and that white recliner wraps you in your own energy field, your own consciousness energy field when he's working with you, and it wraps its arm around you. You feel like a blanket that is just wrapped in love.
Nice. So it's like it just sort of helps you integrate more aspects of the wholeness of you, and there's this immense love that you can feel flowing. Right. Sitting in the chair. Nice.
So then after that, he started working with me. Like I said, I had sciatica. If you ever had it, it's the most painful thing. First I had it on the left side, and then I had it, and he worked with me, and we got that all taken care of. I had been in pain for a couple of months with it. I was pain pills and ice and heat and the whole thing. It's very challenging to have it gone, to have it healed. Anyway, he healed that. Then it came on the right side. We took care of that. He has worked with, I've got arthritis in both of my hands. I recently had, I don't know if you know what a trigger finger is.
I think I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden, out of your one moment, you have the trigger finger. I had it about 7-8 years ago on my right hand with the thumb, and I was on the computer and working with the mouse and that, and all of a sudden your finger locks at the joint, and you can get it back up again, but that's called a trigger finger. With that one, I went to the doctor, and they just cut it and tie it off so that it doesn't do that anymore. Well, about a month ago, I've got it on my left hand, and I've got it on the little finger and the thumb. So he started working with me on that. He also worked with me on arthritic pain, and the pain is gone. I no longer have the trigger fingers. I didn't have to go to the doctor for that. I also was told, I've been going for about a couple of years. I was told I'd need a knee replacement on my right knee, and from an auto accident 40 years ago. So I was getting cortisone shots every 3 months, and I really didn't want to do another. I had a knee replacement on the left leg 10 years ago, and I really didn't want to do another one, so I was putting it off by getting the shots. Well, but it's very painful, and the shot would last. Yeah, it would last for about 2 months, and then you only can go every 3 months. So I got a TENS unit to work with it on the knee for the pain for that last month. Well, make a long story short, last June was the last shot I've got because when he started working with me, I no longer have any pain in that knee.
That's wonderful. Feels like energetically he just literally is able to reach an individual in such a way that they literally shift themselves during the session into that new state of just where it's completely non-existent. You know, whatever the previous ailment or illness was, working with him, you're shifting like instantaneous to that. You literally have a new past, new history. You no longer have that same background of ailment.
Right, but it isn't always instantaneous because we do have a physical body. You know, when you go to a doctor for an ailment or something like that, they, it might take they give you something for it. It might take a while. Well, it's also, it didn't some things instantaneously. The pain was in that instance, but in the arthritis and that, I mean, I had, I don't know how many sessions, but I would have sessions with it, and it would get better. And so it was, I don't want to say that it was just one session, that Right. It was all done and over with. But, 4 or 5 sessions, and it cleared it up. Because it does, since we're in the physical body, sometimes it can take time to heal. It's a residual healing, but he works with that energy field. It wasn't until December it was December 27th of last year was the first time then I did a session for it was actually a client in Australia, and she has been with Lily and changing her beliefs and everything, and actually changing her life in the last 3 years. Then we've gotten to be really good friends, and she called up and she was crying, and she said, I didn't know until that time that she had asthma, and it was under control with asthma. But she lived in Terrigal, Australia, by the beach. And in June, which is their winter time, she had moved about 15, 20 minutes away, and it's in what they call their valley, which was hot. And she never stopped to think that in the summertime, which was December, they were in their full-blown heat, and Australia had the hottest year on record last year. And so where her home in the valley now was 100 degrees and 100% humidity, and her asthma kicked in, and she was in tears. She said, my lungs are burning. I can't breathe. Do you think I can have a Lily session? I said, sure. So we went ahead, and she was crying, and Lily talked with her for maybe 5 minutes to calm her down, get exactly what's going on, how she was feeling, what it was materializing at. And then, and I didn't know this was going to happen, Lily said, close your eyes, and she energetically took her to the inn in her own private gardens in the inn, and Dr. Simon was there. And so Dr. Simon was working on her energetically, and Lily was talking to her and saying what Dr. Simon was doing, and and she'd say, "What does it feel like?" And she said, "It feels like sludge. I've got sludge, and it's very heavy and in there." And so then she would say how Dr. Simon is pulling it out and working, and then she'd say, "How you doing?" and everything. End of story. An hour and a half later, she could now breathe easy. It was like 90% better. It wasn't burning anymore. By the end of the week, it was gone, and I didn't find out till that time that she had had asthma since she was 2 years old, really bad, was in and out of emergency rooms and hospitals, bronchitis and all of that. And I hadn't talked to her, and she had done that, had a trip a week or so before to the emergency room with it before she called to have a session. And a month later, she told me, and this is true now, she no longer uses any asthma medication. She no longer uses an inhaler, and she can breathe deeply for the first time in her life.
Wow.
Now, that was at just one session.
Wow.
But, everyone is different.
Wow, that's miraculous for her, actually, and huge testament to her ability to become receptive to just opening to herself to life, to the life force, to breathing in life and accepting her place in the world. Because I know from my own background, from experience from doing energetic healing work and study with Louise Hayes, she talks about the lungs and the breath. It has to do with trusting life. And
right.
And I know people that smoke cigarettes. I've learned that I think it was Carolyn Mace talks about the archetypes of animal types, and she said that people that smoke cigarettes, it's actually a filter that they're putting up a wall, like a barrier, because they don't really want to face parts of life that they're trying to, filter to keep them from having to experience those painful parts. So it's like a barrier that we hide ourselves from. And so I get the sense with the asthma, that's a reflection. Anybody that has asthma, not just her, that had it, of course, obviously in the past she had it, but now, speaking from this moment, but anybody that has that, I believe it's a reflection of their ability to trust life and breathe in the life force and receive their worth, their worthiness to thrive. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very definitely. She had another session for Candida and that type of thing the next month, and I've worked with another friend of mine, actually the same one that had the parallel life experience with Lily, and we've worked with her about 7 sessions now because she has many different health challenges, and we've taken away back pain. She had a head concussion a year and a half ago, and she said ever since then she has felt really, the foggy brain and having trouble really thinking, straight. And so he actually saw, he went in the brain and he saw, I don't know, I'm not the medical person, but like a connection in the brain, I don't know if it's a synapses or whatever, that was not really connected. He energetically connected that, and she said, this changed my life. She can now, think clearly. She doesn't have that foggy brain or anything anymore. And
right.
He worked on so many things with her, and it's quite rewarding. And of course, we all know that you actually heal yourself. Nobody heals you, but you match the energy of Dr. Simon or any other healer, and then you take that and you heal yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, we're holding that vibrant, healthy state as a healer or a therapist, and then the individual that we work with matches it, meets us in that space of vibrant frequency of vibrant health and wellness. And
right.
So she received that, embracing that, that knowing.
And the one big thing is, Bashar had said many years ago, and he's always been saying it, and our medical doctors are now saying the same thing, that inflammation is the biggest cause of disease that we have. So with everybody, he does a treatment to really just absorb and take out the inflammation. He does the whole body through the inflammation, which is really, really good in the balancing, and it's quite delightful.
Yeah, and what is then in the symbology there is, what is inflammation? Inflammation is just inflamed emotions that we haven't really looked at. And I know from my material and study with the Alice Bailey material on esoteric healing, I learned that like 80% of all disease is from the emotional body. So when we can, do the work like what you're doing with Lily and Dr. Simon, it's like we can literally look at our beliefs and address those emotions, and then when we can consciously look at those emotions and then be present and for it, we can shift it in that moment, through the love and understanding and awareness that it no longer serves us, that belief no longer serves us, and let it go.
Right. I also think a part of it, too, is the environment, what we're breathing in, what we've done to our planet. I think that also contributes to it. Don't you think so?
Yes, I do, yes. Yeah. And the planet, though, is a reflection of us and our own state of being, so too, what we're willing to tolerate and accept. The more, I feel like more than anything, this last transmission with Bashar on the windows of contact, shifting the windows of contact, is really about the opportunity here for us to really step up and be an example, live our truth, live as an example of what we prefer, as far as what's acceptable, as far as health and how we treat one another. And the more we can come together and come out and be vulnerable and share our gifts with each other, we can lift each other up together harmoniously. Just even one person just sharing their perception of something that's maybe transformed their life can be an impact to someone else. To literally, that's what, being an example, like we're not, like Bashar says, I love how he says, we're not responsible for them, but we're responsible to them, and we can give them the opportunity to see something in a positive way by us choosing to demonstrate that in our own state of being.
Right, and of course, when he said that on, I believe, the Friday night session, and he said 2020 is a very pivotal point, and it will make all the difference. He said, and he's never said this before in all the 37 years that I've known him, go out and vote, because it is, like you just said, you need to stand up and be heard and claim. But he said the voting this in 2020 is pivotal, because the 2020 is a pivotal point because of the negativity that we have, not only in the United States but throughout the world, okay? And it's a pivotal point for changing that and changing what is going on. And he said go out and vote, and he said do early voting. So that is very, very important, I think, as we all know, for 2020. And if you want to go out and organize, no matter what way you do to stand up, to be out there and being heard and helping everybody, whatever way that you see fit for it. But the voting is crucial.
Yeah, and I think also the voting isn't just a matter of going to the polls and filling out a form. I think the significance of what he was saying in the voting is that your action, because this is the world of physical action, the language of physical action is imperative, because it anchors that vibration of what we stand for in our acknowledgement and just communicating, conveying that we live in a safe world, that we are connected, and we feel our connection with our brothers, our sisters, our star brothers, our star sisters, that we're making a voice for that just in coming out and physically, expressing that.
Right, but the action part of it is to vote, because it doesn't change it if you don't go out and vote.
Right. I'm saying I think it's both things, both actions.
Yes, it's all of that.
Yeah.
All of that, absolutely.
Yeah. And the more we can do that, the more we shift into that outcome that we prefer. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. This has been wonderful. Is there any closing remarks or anything else that you would like to add before we conclude this recording? It's been a pleasure having you on, and I'm going to do my best to get this one, sharing it with the Bashar group as soon as possible, because I just feel like the message is so relevant, and just for our infusion of this heart energy and space as we, all connect with one another in a deeper way. So.
No, I just, of course, Bashar has been the pivotal point for all of us, and changing our, having us change our beliefs. I mean, he from day one, like I said, I met him 37 years ago when I met Darryl when he was learning how to channel, and has been my great pleasure. And with Darryl, with his gift of channeling Bashar, and that we've all been able to benefit from. And I've always felt Bashar as like most of us, has been a great teacher for me. I also know that I have a parallel life with him on Sirius, and we'll get into that some other time. So I have a real closeness with him. I feel a real closeness with Willa, as I'm sure we all do. And so it's Darryl's gift of, to me, Bashar, him bringing Bashar through. To me, I've listened to other channels through the years and everything, and I think everybody is great, okay? But he is very special in that he is so cutting edge, and so sense of humor, so much fun when you go and see him and interact with him, and Willa, of course, too. She has a very special place in my heart, as Bashar does. So yeah, it's great. And then the group, that you guys have put together, and Aaron Elliott, and as one of the administrators, and yourself, and all of the contributions that you make in having it a great group, and I thank all of you for that.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And I want to thank Olaf and Simon, administrators of the group, and their participation in making it be a clean and supportive, positive environment where we can all thrive together and come together like family. And that's the purpose of this show, Nourish Your Soul TV, and having conversations in consciousness and talking about first contact as we connect with deeper parts of ourselves and each other, and bring out our gifts in ways that can witness and transform our planet together in more harmony. And I totally, I love Bashar, I love Darryl and the Bashar Communications and all that they're doing, and so immensely grateful to Darryl for channeling Bashar as many years as he has, because he has really answered a lot of my questions and quest of understanding the nature of reality and the mechanics and how it works. And if you really want to master yourself, then these are the tools. These are the sessions. Like I always say, class is now in session. We have that opportunity to dive deep and know ourselves, but the only person that can make those changes and transformation is ourselves, being willing to look at ourselves and be vulnerable and own up to the beliefs that no longer serve us, so we can liberate ourselves and let them go.
Absolutely.
Not hold ourselves back anymore. So Anyway, much love to you and to the group members, and if anyone feels this is inspiring to them in any way or they have any questions that it may have stimulated within them, please do reach out to myself or to Elle Keith. And like I said, you can find her page, Parallel Reality Specialist. She has a Facebook page. You can connect with her there.
Yes, and thank you so much, Michelle, for having me. I love you very much.
I love you too, sweetheart. All right, I'm going to stop my recording now.